All right, Schlockmeister fans, the bonus feature on the Blu-ray for Curse of the Screaming Dead, Night of Horror. Let's check it out. The movie starts with a
hatred
speech of some sort.
and fear ruled our lives, ruled our thoughts.
The guy in the red shirt is Steve. Apparently he's in a band with this guy.
Man, what's wrong? Look, we're starting rehearsals for the new album in 2 weeks. And some of the guys, well, they're wondering whether you're trying to quit the group, man. Look, if you want to get stoned after you get the songs down and you get the rehearsal through and you know what you're doing, that's fine. You can go on the tear for the whole next tour. But man, you know that you can't go in for new songs rehearsing like this.
Way out in Virginia
So Steve explains why he's in such a sour mood. And we see a flashback
sort of a mini vacation.
Story he tells.
It's something we all needed.
He goes on vacation with his half-brother's wife, and a friend. In a camper. That's his half-brother Jeff.
It's another 30 minutes.
And I was more than a little impressed with my first glance at Colleen.
That's Jeff's wife.
The way the morning light hit her, the way she smiled, almost glowing, creating an inner light all of her own.
They're somewhere in the Maryland or Virginia area, Baltimore, I'm not sure, but they spend a lot of time driving, and we see a lot of it with this awful piano music.
No, it's not like that. It's not a horror story. He didn't just write horror stories, he also wrote some beautiful poems.
Jeff is
Would you
driving
like to
now.
hear it?
I think it's an Edgar Allan Poe.
The ring is on my hand, and the wreath is on my brow. Satins and jewels grand are all at my command.
Food time. Ladies, food will be served, right?
They expect the women to cook.
Food. Whatever you can come up with on the range.
Oh, listen, we were promised some outdoor cooking when we signed on to this crazy cruise.
That's Susan, by the way.
Cooking when we get to the cabin. Right now, we just want to get there so we can just get a little something.
Jeff really digs.
There's not much of anything like that around here.
Steve really digs his brother's
Besides,
wife.
Jeff and I don't really go out that much.
I could never stay in one place for too much of any given time.
Getting these awful feelings.
Careful.
That was the first real problem of the trip. Colleen knew something before it even happened.
They
They all went out
eventually
to see what was going on.
hit somebody.
I sat frozen in the back.
Nobody's there, of
But
course,
he was here. I feel it.
but she has some sort of psychic connection to
He
something.
wasn't a hitchhiker. He was a spirit of some form. There's a wrong feeling here.
Well, then they say, screw it, let's get out of here. Gotta get to the campsite before dark. If they hit something, oh well. There's a lot of day that turns into night. Boom. They had to pull over because it overheated or something.
That is really great. That is just what we need.
Sounded like the muffler. Maybe the whole exhaust system is shot.
What, these ghost stories? I don't want to hear it.
Jeff, you have to. Don't you understand? These noises Colleen is hearing are scaring the hell out of her.
Oh, we don't hear anything.
That's just it. You know how she was in college.
So, Colleen is detecting something or some things.
So sad. Wait, others? How many of you are there? What do you mean? Before you...
That was before. They just spoke to me.
Hey man, we gotta get the hell out of here.
What's the matter with you?
I was just back in the woods taking care of business. And I heard something like crying or moaning.
We can hold a seance. That way I can find out what their problem is. Why they can't leave.
Sounds like a great idea.
of hate.
So that's what they do. Steve doesn't want any part of it,
Our thoughts
though.
of fear. What we want are thoughts of concern, love, compassion.
And I listened to their story.
Soldiers show up.
We're a volunteer unit. We joined because we believed we were seasoned.
So then we have a flashback within a flashback. Apparently there are ghosts of Confederate soldiers.
He led with such conviction that even though we knew they attacked our train, we were separated from the rest, lost in the darkness. But they found us, came upon us out of the woods and killed all of us and our captain. They saw he was an officer, so a Yankee sergeant. He took the brave man's own sword and cut off his head. She is the one we have been waiting for.
They think Colleen is somehow the reincarnation of their captain, the dead
It
captain's
is her
wife.
help we seek.
So they left. Jeff, Colleen, and Susan, and the spirits. It was my last chance. Chance to possibly save her from all this madness.
The spirits lead them to a
They dug.
grave.
And they found the severed skull of the valiant captain.
And they bury it
Used
with
for
the rest of the
decades.
body.
And they buried the skull at the exact spot the spirits said contained the remains of their captain.
We thank you. All is as it should be.
And that ends
Why
her
can't
film,
I?
basically.
I know these things happen, but I just can't accept that they happen to me.
What about Colleen, Steve?
She seems to be getting back into her spiritualism.
Okay, so what do we have here? This is the Blu-ray for Curse of the Screaming Dead. On this Blu-ray is a bonus feature called Night of Horror, which was directed by the same director who did Curse of the Screaming Dead. There are some similarities between these films. First of all, Curse of the Screaming Dead, I reviewed a few years back. It was a trauma film. It was on one of those triple things, I don't know, Toxie's triple feature or something like that, but it was on one of those. Bad movie, really bad. In fact, I think Michael Hers or Lloyd Kaufman said that that is the worst movie in the trauma catalog. I can't disagree with him. Night of Horror came a year earlier. Has like 3 of the same cast members, same director, and similar plot with Confederate soldiers and stuff. But anyway, so this particular movie, it's kind of plays in a flashback. This guy goes to his friend Steve and says, "Hey, Steve, are you out of the band? You know, we have an album to make in 2 weeks." And then Steve's kind of out of it, and he tells him a story about how he went on this road trip with his half-brother Jeff, his half-brother Jeff's wife, Colleen, and their friend Susan, I think was her name. The 4 of them hop in a camper and head to Virginia somewhere from Maryland, where this movie was filmed, actually. And they hit somebody on the way, and then they get out of the car and they can't find anybody. They're like, oh well, nothing was there. But this girl, Colleen, seems to have some sort of psychic ability. She can detect that there's some sort of spirits around or something like that. I don't know. So anyway, we go further along, and then the camper like overheats or something, and it runs off the road, and they're kind of stranded there. And then they end up like outside at night, and then suddenly the spirits of these dead Confederate soldiers come, and then they actually take corporal form, and they're like live. They look like they're there actually, and they tell a story. They're whispering the story the whole time, like, we were in a fight with the Yankees. And they tell the whole story of what happened. They held their ground, but then they got killed. And then the guy in charge of the Yankee, the regime on the north side there, took the captain of the South there and cut his head off and buried the head in a different place than the body. So what's happening, these soldiers, these ghosts, these spirits, are trying to reunite the head of their captain with the body of their captain and rebury it. So they end up leading Colleen to the place where the head is buried. So they dig up this plastic skull, and then they bury this plastic skull next to where the body is buried. And then I guess the spirits can rest in peace, and then the movie ends. It was basically a flashback story is what we have here from our guy, Steve. That's it. That's the movie. Now, about 11 years ago, when I first started my previous channel, or is it 12 years ago now? Oh, it's a long time ago. 12 years ago, I think. Yeah, whatever, because it's a long time ago. I think it was January 2012, actually. I was, at that time, still trying to build up my DVD library, trying to upgrade a lot of my stuff from VHS to DVD, which I finally completed just this year. But at that time, and I remember looking through a lot of stuff, seeing what was available, and somehow I stumbled upon a movie called Night of Horror, which people were talking about as like one of the worst horror films ever made. So I wrote it down to get it. I never did, but I was thought about it. It was available only on VHS, I think like on LP or EP speed too, so it was a shitty copy as well. So I never tracked it down. I thought about over the years trying to get a bootleg of it or something, but I just never did. Now, when this came out, I thought, I'll upgrade to a Blu-ray from the DVD I had, which was pretty shabby. And this has a bonus feature of Night of Horror, so there you go. It's not a good movie by any means. I don't think it's the worst horror movie ever made. It's certainly not the worst movie I've ever reviewed. That's Hip Hop Locos, by the way. Look up Hip Hop Locos. Not only the worst movie I've ever reviewed, but the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. I'm not exaggerating. But anyway, I digress. Night of Horror, again, not a good movie, not good acting, not good anything, but it was quick. It was an hour and 12 minutes. It went by pretty fast, and it wasn't boring. I wasn't bored by it. I read some reviews about it. People thought it was boring, but I actually watched it in piecemeal too because I was doing something else, so I had to pause it several times. So maybe that helped. I don't know. But again, it's not a good movie, and I probably will never watch it again. But whatever. It was a movie. We'll just leave it at that. It's Night of Horror. Let me know if you've seen this little opus. Leave some comments down below. Let me know if you've seen Curse of the Screaming Dead, otherwise known as, I think it was Curse of the Cannibal Confederates. I think that's how I reviewed it. But anyway, check it out. Leave some comments. Night of Horror. Watch it. Bye.